Morning. So we're going to look at this RtI Progress Monitoring page and try to give you a rundown on how it works. First thing I'm going to do though is kind of redact some of the information that goes in here. So this is a paid service, but if you type in a student's ID number, what you're going to see is that it's going to pull out all the information about that student that is available on a district level. Student's name, vision and hearing screening, what grade they're in, absences and tardies, both excused and unexcused. It's a very complicated set of spreadsheets and nerd magic that makes all this happen. And you can see it also pulls out K-Prep data, previous year universal screener, and current year available screener information. You're going to see for the K-Prep the NAPD value and the scale score. For this means in fall 2019, the universal screener, the student scored proficient. They did a total test time of 50 minutes on the test and scored in the 67th percentile. Now this is all dummy data that's just made up. That's why it all looks the same. But it would pull that out for each test. Now like I said, you've bought the product, but if you've bought this product, this is something extra because I have to work with districts one-on-one to get this set up. So there is an additional fee if you want this. If you don't want to worry about this type of automation, all these cells can be filled in manually. You just have to type in the number of absences, tardies, and I've got some ad hoc reports that you can find if you use Infinite Campus, and it'll spit a lot of this data out for you. So if I'm setting this up for a student, I can also come in here and check any specific student information, like are they gifted and talented, are they other? If they're other, that information goes here. You would type that in. Also, behavior screener. We use SRSS, so twice a year we give a screener on internalizing and externalizing behaviors. So that does have to be filled in manually. So if they're a 3, it's automatically going to rank them low risk. If they scored a 12 out of 21, and it puts them in the high risk the external behavior categories. Student note goes here. And if it's me that's writing the intervention for a student, I'm going to come in and first look at their baseline info. So let's say that the student had a baseline of 25%. We want to get them to an 85%. I would put that information in here. And this is going to be my aim line. Overall, I want to get them from a 25 to an 85. And as you see, that baseline information gets put down here as your first data point. So let's say that today was when the first baseline data was taken. I've got that information here. It's going to plot 364 days is the maximum amount of time that you can go to try to meet that goal on one sheet. It's good for a year. I can also come in here and do some more nerd magic. Let's just say I want to progress monitor this student every 14 days. And I can just throw some random data in here. Say they got a 30, 32, had a bad day and got a 20, got a 40, and got a 45. So up from 313 to 522, this is the blue line is their aim line. The red line is the trend line, and each of these are the data points. All right. I would also come down here and put what is the tool I'm using. Easy CBM numbers and computation. It's 20 questions, and it's on a 4th grade level, so that I can help try to figure out the information going on. All right. So I would come up here and say, okay, this is a math. I'm going to start putting my tiers of intervention in. So I would list what the group size and interventions used are. So tier 1 is whole group. Interventions are, I would list those. Let's see, this is numbers and computation. So student will reach. Now I want them to get to an 85% to be on par with grade level peers, but from this intervention cycle, that's probably not going to be a goal that he can realistically reach. So let's say student will reach cycle. So for the next 8 weeks, a student will reach cycle goal of 25. Let's say that we want them to get them to a 45% in area of numbers and computation with a focus on fraction addition and decimal place values. All right, let's say I'm the interventionist. We're going to start this from today. We'll go 8 weeks. It's going to be 5 days a week. Or I'm sorry, this is going to be 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. Now this is an RtI kid, so they're going to have tier 2, so I would put small group. Interventions are, I would list those interventions, and let's say that we're going to work that same topic. Let's say that we're going to work on just fractions for right now. So in tier 2, they're showing a little bit more of an area of need in the fractions. We're going to still keep that same goal. We're working towards that 85%. If I have whoever does the interventions, it's going to have the same time period. Let's say I only see them 25 minutes, 3 times a week. All right, I've got my intervention plan. Now typically you would have all this filled out before you would have all this progress monitoring data. I'm kind of doing this out of order. So we said the first cycle is going to be from 313 to 513. So let's look at these first data points here. Now there's these little purple lines over here. I will grab one and drag it over just to show that I'm looking at the data from one cycle. And I scroll down, and this, when I meet with PLC to talk student progress, this is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to say, okay, progress. We met on the 23rd. Progress made. They've improved from 25 to a 45. I had an altercation, and that's why they scored a low grade here. So I want to explain why there's a dip in there. Any patterns I see in the data, I want to explain in the progress made. In the next step, I'm going to change my focus from fractions to decimal addition. And I was shooting to try to get a 45. Now I'm going to change that to a 60%. And here I can check box. We're not going to move them up to tier 3. We're just going to continue in their current tier. Now this section down here is every time you meet in PLC to discuss student data, you put the date, progress made since the last time a cycle happened, what's the notes or next steps, and then check which box is appropriate. Say he met that 85%. By the time the next cycle was up, I would just come here and check. Move back to tier 1, and he's done. Now, these cycles were only good for 8 weeks, so I will need to come in, and if he's going to stay in tier 2, I will need another tier 1 goal. Oops, I need some more room. But if I look at the double arrows here, there's more room that's hidden. I can put room for my tier 2 goal here. Come back and hide the rest. I don't need that extra room. And now I can do my next cycle, which will go from 523 or 514 2019 to 714 2019. And if all this information is going to stay the same, we can copy and paste that around. All right, so I would need to come in here and write what my whole group and small group interventions are, get my target goal, get my interventions. All that information needs to be filled out. But long and short of it, this is all pretty well done. I've got one cycle down. I've picked my first intervention is going to be math. I've got that wrote out. I've got my progress monitoring, and I'm going to continue to plug in these points as they go. All right, I'm going to keep on going on down, because what if this student has more than just one intervention? What if he's not just math, but maybe he's behavior as well? So all the background data is here. This red section is the first goal, but I can come down and look, and there's up to 5 different sections for me. So if this student is math as well as behavior, I would come down, check behavior, do the same thing with the baseline, the grade level goal, and then I would start filling out this information as needed and do my data analysis just like I did for math. So they're color-coded sections. It goes red, orange, green. I don't know what this color is. We'll call it greenish blue, and then we've got blue at the bottom. Also at the very bottom, if you have meeting notes about this student, you can put that at the very bottom of this page. And also, if you need more room, you can expand to get more cells there. All right, so just to overview, this is all the background information. This needs to be brought up in PLCs. You're discussing what specific areas based on the information provided the student needs help on. You come down and write your interventions. What are you going to be targeting? You figure out what your progress monitoring tool is going to be, what grade level, number of questions. You've got your interventions, you've got your baseline data, you've got your aim line, start progress monitoring, and as these cycles are up, you evaluate the data, make decisions for what you're going to do next time, and just keep going in that cyclic motion of evaluating student data and meeting them on their individual needs. All right, that's the long and short of it. If you ever have any questions, just email me. I look forward to seeing any feedback you have from this.